Hello everybody, how you doing? I'm doing this live because doing all the video editing and the uploading and the thumbnail and all of that takes a fair bit of time. It's a lot of work. It's essentially almost like a part-time work. So I like to be a bit more live and just get right into the teaching and then have more time to do my own art and my own things. So I'm gonna give first, before I explain how to import or export things in a way that I found that it was felt very automatic and it felt very easy. I'm gonna show a little bit what I have been doing, and actually I might scale this around a little bit so you can see this a little bit bigger. So the way that I've been doing this, so I've been I think one of my last art demos that I've been doing, I have been just blocking out this whole scene really quickly with blocks just to get a sense of scale. And I think I did that in a gameplay of like 2 or 3 hours, which was a lot of fun. But the last week and a bit, I have been modeling these pieces inside of Maya, which has been really good. And I've been able to do collisions and all these kind of things. The thing is, it's been a little bit of a learning journey for myself. But it also has been really, really good to be able to get all these collisions working and all these pieces attached together, and they all snap as well. Like for example here, I just realized I've got a couple of pillars missing. So I can go in here, go with this guy, and then I've got, of course, everything. I'm using everything in half of meters, which again, it's something that you can adjust in here to change. It's 100, 150, 200, like you can have this configured as well, which is really cool. And I just go like that, cool, snap, and there you go. I've got my new pillars in there, and I can adjust this very easily. So the way that I'm doing everything within Maya is you have, let's pull this out, a locator. So this is like, think is like an imaginary magical pivot point, right? And you need to think of this when it comes to this locator, which is an item that you can go inside of Maya, create a locator. This is like your pivot point, right? So this is where whatever you have this as a container, so think of this as a group. You have the items that live in there. And just I'm gonna go to Maya quickly just so you can get a bit of an idea. So inside of Maya, I've got a bunch of locators, which is so you go create locator in here. And each of the locators, like I've got essentially a magical pivot point that I can say, cool, so that's where that specific asset lives, because this is like a library that I've got here at the moment. And the library, like, this is like my playground where I put my pieces together to figure out how things are snapping together to create modular pieces. But here, this is where I've got everything separate, right? Like for example, this box here, that is my the boxes is like my collision, right? And sometimes I like to go instead of object display in here and make that into a display. So then it shows like a box that I cannot edit, but it's still the box is visible so I can see, okay, so that's the block out. And what's really cool about this is that I've got all of these pieces. I've got the collision and I've got the mesh, but then I've got like, okay, so this is the pivot point. So I can have anything in there and I can have 20 or 40 objects within that locator. But, you know, I also got the collision. So say, for example, this piece here, I might have this piece, but then I've got this decoration piece as well, which I can move or adjust. But then I also got that collision in here, which is the UBX underscore. So this is all the stuff I'm going to go through in a minute. But yeah, that's the wonderful thing is that you can have many, many objects in there. So the way that it works is you might have, let's make orange anything that's geography. So you might have, let's say, the tabletop, which we're gonna do a table as an exercise. Then we're gonna have some table legs, but then as the collision, and this is how you would name it inside of Unity. So let's not get confused, and let's call this UBX. underscore, and there will be like tabletop, table whatever, tabletop, and then always would have like some decimal numbers towards the end. But this is the thing, like you have table text, like table legs times 4, for example. So this could be like 5 objects. But then when you import all of this inside of Unreal, it will make it all into one object. Thing is, using the game exporter with here as well, I could, for example, do a bunch of changes. I just want to show the benefits of this. Like this part here, for example, I can put, let's say that I put some spheres in here. And then instead of these spheres, let's make them a little bit bigger. Like so. And we're going to have a bunch of spheres. Like that. And these guys, I'm just going to put them wherever this guy is, the arcs and whatever. So I'm just going to grab that. And you don't even need to think about naming conventions or anything because it uses this name of the locator. Anything that you put in here, no one cares, right? And just for fun, I'm going to unhide this for a second. So this is my collision. And that kind of fits already pretty good with the collision there, actually. So I'm just going to hide this again. Okay. And just for fun, I'm going to use the same balls and use them for this wall here, for example. So I can go duplicate this, move this out, and then figure out where that wall is. So that's the back wall there. Where did I put the balls now? Am I crazy? There you go. Back wall there. Okay. And just to show how quick this is. So now that I've got this here, I can just select this two. I'm just selecting the two locators. And this is where I'm going now inside of File, Game Exporter, right? If the Game Exporter is not opening, you might need to activate it in your plugins. And this is where you might need to change a few things. I've already got it on by default because I'm saving out a script called Unreal. But the most important is don't have export all, have export selection, then export to multiple files. The reason why this is good, even if you're only exporting one thing at a time, is so you don't need to do any renaming. It uses the name of the locators that you're exporting out, and then it will automatically import anything that's in here. And we're going to do this from scratch with the chat. I just want to show you why this is good. Then this is the most important one, move to origin, which means these locators will move to the origin point, which is the center of the Maya scene. So then you have the correct pivot point in Unreal. Okay. They are not moving characters, or they don't have any skinning or binding. So I'm going to take this two off. Some people like to have triangulate on. I don't have it on, but if you want to have it on, you can do it if you want. Input connections is important to take this off if you got instances. If you're using anything with instances, you need to take this off. So I'll take this off. Inside of Unreal, up is set, right? So you need to always have everything in the up axis in here. So this you need to have in the set axis. The other thing that's important, if you look in here, you see how it says front. If you want things to look good in the preview thumbnails, so if I go in here, models, archviz, and you've got all these pieces, and you want these pieces to look forward, and it looks good looking forward in the preview, then you need to do the same here. You want things to look forward this way, and for things to have in the x-axis this way. So if you're looking at this way, things are contained in this space in here. Okay, so now that I've got those two selected, always have the same folder where you're exporting everything. So Unreal knows that everything lives in the same folder, and you always know that you're always exporting the same folder. In here where it says the path, I press on that folder there, and I got this inside of inside of the assets folder in here. Am I having a brain fart? No, there you go, inside of assets. So this is where I choose. I always export everything in the same place, and I press export. It's going to ask me, do you want to replace this? Already exists. Yes, that's the point. I'm replacing this. Okay, Then I go in here, and the only thing I need to do is I select the two that I want to replace, right click, re-import. Give me a second here. It's complaining for some reason. So I'm gonna re-import with new file, and I'm gonna go to that location there. So I am re-importing the arc thing. Sorry, that's the whole point of this, making it so good. Kind of lost a little bit now. Open. Cool. And now I've got everything with the balls, right? Which is not something that I want to do. But I'm going to do the same here. Re-import with new file. And I've got that with... that was today. This one here, the back wall. Open. And now you will see the balls in there as well, right? And that's the point. Like, if I don't like this, I can go back in here now and be like, I don't like the balls anymore. I'm going to remove them. So I can just do that. I don't need to like do any history or anything like that. I can just, again, select this two, export, replace. That's cool. Go back in here, go right click, re-import, and it will just do it like that. A bunch of things really easily, really fast. And what's really cool is that you can do some work really quickly in here, preview it, previsualize it. The reason why I had that hiccup, that problem, is because I've been doing most of the work with this project, demonstrating to the students in class. And I just wanted to show with an example, okay, let's do something from scratch, doing the whole steps, and show you the benefits on why this is really cool. And we're going to do this with instances with the legs off the table, okay? So this is where it officially begins. So let's, just to make things a little bit neater, I'm going to save this for a second. I'm going to make a new scene. Okay. We're going to put, I always like to put a little man with this. I'm just going to go here, animals, bipeds. And for some reason, it's not showing the thumbnails. I don't know what I did here, but I'm going to use the anatomy character male. Cool. Well, that's the one that's got the thing. Anyways, just for scale. And I'm going to do like a magical table, right? So the first thing I'm going to create is the locator. So the locator is essentially going to be the guy that's going to have the name. And I'm going to do static mesh underscore table. And I'm going to say the table is going to be 2 times 2 meters, right? Just to give it a specific dimension to it, right? And that's going to be our table. With the locator, I want to make sure that the scale here is going to be nice and big. Pay note that this is only for me to be able to see a little bit easier what I'm doing with the locator there, right? And you don't want to scale it here. That's not the right place to scale it. You want to scale it in here where you've got this guy here so you can see it a little bit easier, right? If you do anything weird here for whatever reason, then say that I've got that scale there now, then you want to select that and you want to freeze the scale or the rotation, make sure that everything is like neat in here. This is your locator. So this is like your container. Let's say now that we're gonna do the top of the table. So let's do a basic cube. Let's say the cube, because it's 2 meters. Something like, let's do something like that. So that's the top of the table there. And now this is where we can have fun. We don't worry too much about things. So the table is going to be like maybe yay. So let's go front view here. Cool. So let's say that this is like that. This guy is giving me the creeps. Now I'm just going to use another guy. Human body. There you go. I'll use this guy. Goodbye. Cool. I'll just do some modifications to the table just so we can see. Let's pretend that this is like a quick block out because we might do some changes later and we want to see what this looks like, right? So we got the table there. Let's do some legs. And whenever it comes to modeling things for games, you don't want everything to be one piece sometimes, because then the topology is going to be too intense. So let's go. Okay, so that's the leg there. And just for science, let's do this with instances. So we're gonna, cool, got that there. Cool. So let's go now. Edit. Duplicate special with instances. Okay. And let's do 3 copies. Apply. So now if I change one, the other ones are going to change as well, which is the cool part. Cool. I thought I duplicated. Oh. Alright, cool. Alright, so we got our 4 legs there. Let's do some modifications with this, because otherwise it's going to look a little bit boring. So let's do a multi-cut there. And just to make sure that, yeah, things are changing there. By the way, I don't care how much of an artist I am with this. I just want to make a point that, yeah, you can do some cool things with this. Like, it's going to look kind of weird. Going to go add a multi-cut there, for example, maybe. And I'm going to pull those out and give it a bevel. Some segments. And I'm just gonna, just to make something interesting, gonna push that in to something like that. Okay, so that's our table now, right? The thing is, with all these pieces, let's do a little bit of tidy up. So let's call this tabletop. And then let's call this guys, to make things a bit faster and easier. I'm just gonna go here with the naming. There's a name guy here, rename, call this table legs, and it will just go boom, change that on one go. Let's now put these guys in here. So now it's all living in there. And this is the part now that we need to put some collisions within this locator. But as we already described earlier, we want the things to live in the corner of this. So ideally, we are going to move all these pieces. So if we go top view, and we see this as X-ray, we want things to be like, and maybe I should have, Sapelida you kind of use, all right, so let's move all of this here. Let's now move each of those legs there. And that's ideally the way that you want to export things. You want them to look, let's go perspective. Wow, I really messed this up. It should be, oh my God. No, it needs to be there because that's the front. I got all of this wrong. It needs to be here. Sorry. Yeah, because it's looking forward this way, and it needs to be on this side. It takes me a while to get the right orientation, but if you got the grid here, it needs to live in this quadrant, and then it needs to look that way. So if you got like a person there, whatever, so let's put the person in there for now, in here, and then we can take it out when we re-export it. And this guy needs to be on the floor here as well. Sorry about that. Okay. And this could be like your first iteration of the model, and then because it's so easy to re-import and to retest, then we can make more changes and more modifications. All right, so let's export this as it is, and then we can do the collisions next. So now this is where we go. Inside of the game exporter, because we got the collision there, so that's a pivot. For science, let's move the pivot point anywhere else, like here. So we know that's going to move to the origin later and it's going to be fine. You can have your whole library wherever you want. So that's the first option that you should have on. The next one is export selection. Next is export multiple files. That means it's going to like export this correctly. Next, I'm going to have that into my assets in here. That's where I like it. If you want to have your own folder that says called exports or FBXs or anything like that, that's also pretty cool. Go choose. Okay. Up access, Z. You want to, because it's got like instances and stuff like that, you want these two off. And because this is not a character, moving character, we're going to take this two off. Okay, there is a character in there, but it's only for demonstrating. And now, hopefully, I have done everything. This one, this one, this one here. I'm going to save this. So if I press on the save button, I'm going to call this in the same area. And I've already got one in here. I'm going to call this Unreal Settings. And this is only if you can't remember those settings properly for whatever reason. And then you can use that as your settings. So you can just press in here. Assets, Unreal Settings, load, and now that will be in there for you to use, okay, with the correct settings. I'm gonna press export, export successful. This is where now I'm gonna go in here and test the table to see if it's loading correctly. But you also have settings that you need to export correctly with this project. Just give me a second. I'm gonna find to see. If you're lazy and you know it, clap your hands. I'm just going to press on this icon in here in my Dropbox. Cool. And sometimes when I export things, I like to have date modifier to be the earliest. There you go. The table. So I'm going to drag that now into here. And this is where now you've got other settings that you need to, like, you've got export settings that you need to be very careful to maintain. But then you have got import settings that you also have to be careful, right? So I will do myself a disservice. I'm going to press that this reset to default. So then I know for sure that, you know, we are doing the right things in here, right? And I'm going to close all of this. So the first option is the generating missing collisions. We're going to generate our own collisions in Maya in a second. So we're going to take this off. We're going to do it ourselves manually within Maya. That's one. Two, if you open your advanced setting in here, you need to have your combined meshes on. So if you got, because otherwise, if I import this as it is, it's going to export it as 5 different objects. So you need to have combined meshes on. That's very important. The other thing that's very important for you to do, if you got LODs done by manually, then you need to have this on. We're not going to do LODs today. But if you got material, you need to have this to do not create materials. It's better that we do this ourselves, manually ourselves, okay? And that's it. This here for force front access and convert units, if you got problems, sometimes it's good to play with those. So now if I press import, we got our table there. You can see the guy in the thumbnail is looking the right way, is looking towards us, just like this door here and stuff like that. So we got that in the right place. And now if I move this in here, it is now sitting right in place, okay? And if for whatever reason I want to do this modular, because I've done this to 2 times 2 meters, if I decide to duplicate him holding down Alt as a move, now that's gonna snap in place where we want, right? So if we want to have those tables exactly like that, we can have them. But what if I don't want a human? And what if I want some collisions? So if I go in here, and I investigate him, we don't have any collisions right now, right? It's free of collisions. You can make your own collisions in here, but I prefer to just do them myself manually, and I'll show you in a second. I think it's a lot more fun. Obviously, let's get rid of the guy. We don't need the guy. So now I'm gonna go back in here, and I'm gonna do this rather quickly. I wish that I was a bit more prepared with the link of the collisions, but let's do a little bit of a Google fool. So if we go Unreal collision naming conventions, There you go. So this is where you've got, thank you, UI. So we got convex shapes. So this is like weird shapes. Then you got UBX for box, or you got sphere, or you got capsule, SP for capsule. Wait, this is wrong. Huh. This is meant to be CP, not SP. So AI here's got it wrong. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, this is wrong. Huh. Maybe AI is not that good after all. Anyways, we only need it for the box for now. So this is for convex shape. But let's see. We only need it for the box, which is BX, right? And I do have an image somewhere that I saved for myself because I'm very bad at remembering this kind of stuff. So here you go. Collisions, JPEG. So these are the ones that you need to remember. So the right one for the capsule is actually CP, not SP. But the other trick is you need to make sure that it matches the render mesh name, and you got underscore, and you got 2 numbers in the end. All right, so we're gonna do some collisions for this. So let's go in here and do. I'm gonna do a box, a cube. Gonna put that aside for a second. Let's go here with a cube. And why can't I see the cube? Oh, because I've got it here out in space. And it doesn't matter too much the dimensions, so I'm just gonna go put that there. And with this, you don't want to move things individually like this, because then the collisions in Unreal, it doesn't understand it and then it breaks. You need to make sure that you have those faces as flat as possible. So whenever you're moving this, do this per face and do it like this. So I go like that, like this. Then I go, cool, move that there. That's my collision. I don't think it matters because you could do this table as a gigantic box and I think it would be fine. But if you decide to be a little ant, then it would be cool, right? So I've got, that's my first collision there. For this guy, then I'm gonna move this 4 times. I think it's a bit overkill to do this as instances, but it doesn't matter. So we got now this guy's there. So those are our first collisions, and then I'm gonna do this one here. Go all the way out here. I'm using V to hold to vertex, and I'm snapping to the vertex to the boundaries of that top table there. I'm using the size first, and then I'll do, there you go. And that's the cool thing about collisions. They don't have to be super accurate. You just need to give the illusion that the player cannot move there for a reason if something is blocking them, and that's enough. The thing with this is naming, like I said, is very important, but I'm just going to use this for the name. Going to go here, call this. This is the most important part. UBX underscore, the same name as the mesh. So I'll just select the whole thing, copy it across. Then I go underscore 00. Okay, I'm going to drag that in there. Cool. And I'm going to do the same for the legs. And I'll go in here. UBX underscore, and then I go 001 or whatever. And then I'm just going to copy that. And if pasting it will automatically give the numbers out. Then I drag those in there. Now, this is the part that you can hide this if you want, so they don't show, or you can just go like I did earlier to go instead of object display, make that into a template, so you can still see this as imaginary boxes, but you cannot select them and you cannot touch them. And now you can still do your modeling and stuff like that, and you can see that as collisions. All right. So now if I export this out, again, because I've got the settings already, sometimes I'll have the window I don't even close it. I just put it on the side and then I bring it out and I press export. Yeah, cool. I sometimes wish it did not give that message and it just did it. If there is a way to do that, that would be cool. Maybe there is a setting. Maybe it's in here. No, if there is a way to be able that it doesn't even ask you, it just does it, replaces it, that would be really cool. Let me know if there's a way to do that. Then I go back in here. It has taken away the little man. So if I go right click, re-import, cool, it's not the thing. But now if I double click this and I say show simple collisions, it has put the collisions in there as well. So now if I decide to, like, I'm gonna do save all, save everything, and I want to play the game from here. Now I cannot go into the table and I can jump on the table and it has combined all the meshes, everything is there. And now this is where this is like your block out art piece maybe. And then this is where you can go, okay, cool, I'm gonna fix this table, do some more changes or do anything else or do something cool with this, right? Yeah, I wanted to show this, but I think I needed to make a video because doing this in class, there's so many steps. And I don't know if it is the TikTok generation, but people get stuck on the first step for some reason. So I'm going to do a recap. Recap is you can have a locator like this. You need to make sure that things live in the back of the grid on the right side towards the axis, like this, whenever you're importing things inside of Unreal. And then when you're looking things in the front in this direction, things are living in this corner. That's one. Two, yes, you can use the locator as your pivot point. I recommend that when you're doing modular assets, you have a rule that things can duplicate in a specific grid. With my environment, I've done it that things kind of snap every 50 intervals. So if I go in here and I move this every 50, things will snap very nicely every 50. But I'm doing things in intervals of 2 or intervals of like 2 meters or 1 meter. So that's one thing that I very, very recommend, that you have a system that follows to that grid to the meter or half a meter or 2 meters or something like that, right? Like these guys, for example, they repeat every 2 meters, and that's really cool. Okay. The next thing that I do recommend is, yeah, just you can have as many pieces as you want, and that is cool because that enables you to, like, if you want to make any changes, if you're doing a art block out, you're doing something really quick, you need to put your asset as quick as possible in the engine, and don't do 30 assets and don't put anything in. That's stupid. I did that as a flaw, so I don't care about this anymore. I'm just gonna go and open the other guy. As a flaw, when I was putting these pieces together, I was doing all of these pieces and I was having a lot of fun and I was going very crazy. And then I was like, cool, I'm gonna start putting things in. And then it was more trouble than I thought. I was like, oh, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of friction. Start importing things straight away and start like blocking out things, and then you can do changes very easily with this method. You can just press re-export, and then move things around. Okay. Yeah, that's all. And I hope you guys can take advantage of this. But I'm gonna, enjoy the weekend. I'll see you guys around. Bye bye.